Hello everyone, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're watching this channel from. This is your girl Rosemary and welcome to the Queen Cuisine Cooking channel. Before we look at what we're going to make today, I wanted you all to know that if you are interested in any quality kitchen gadget, please check out my blog below in the description section. You will be able to access any quality kitchen product of your choice. Now let's look at what we're going to make today. Today we are going to be making the meat pie. Meat pie, you can eat it at any time. For snack, you can have it for breakfast, you can have it for lunch, you can have it for dinner. So let's look at the ingredients we'll need to make our meat pie. It's pretty easy to make if you just follow the steps. I'm just going to show you how I make my meat pie. There are different ways to make meat pie, so let me walk you through what are the things you need to make your meat pie. So the first thing you will need is your flour. So this is all-purpose flour. It's about 5 cups of flour. And to make your stuffings, you will need, I'm going to be using my lean ground beef today to make my stuffings. I'm also going to be needing some carrots. These are all chopped carrots. And I'm going to be adding some chopped potatoes to it. I'm only using one big potato today. So it actually depends on the quantity of meat pie you're making. So I'm also going to be using some onion. And I'm going to be using some hot spicy peppers, some Maggi cube, and of course some seasoning to taste. I'm going to be using the garlic and onion seasoning. I'm also going to be using thyme, and of course I'm going to be using olive oil. So without taking much of your time, let's go right in. Okay, so I'm going to turn on my heat, and the first thing you want to do is to add some olive oil to your pan. You don't want to add it too much. That's enough. I'm going to allow this to bring this to a boil. So let's give it a little time to boil. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is to fry your onion. So what I did was to allow the oil to heat up a little bit, so it's not really too hot. Then I'm going to add my onion to that. I'm going to mix this up. You're going to allow your onion to sit for about 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes before we do anything else. Okay. So we're going to allow our onion to fry up a little bit. Let's leave it for another minute. So now the next thing you want to do is to add your ground beef. Add your ground beef. Make sure you're mixing this up properly. You have to make sure you are breaking this up and mixing it up well. You want to cook this till the pinkness of the beef goes away. You're going to stop cooking this once it's no longer pink. As you're cooking the ground beef, today we're using lean ground beef for our meat pie. Just make sure you keep stirring it because we don't want it to get burnt. And the next thing you want to do, I am going to add my Maggi cube. So this is how it looks. So now we're going to start adding our seasoning. So I am going to add some curry powder. I'm going to add some thyme. I'm going to add my Maggi cube and my spice, some peppers. Stir that up. We're going to add some salt. You have to make sure your Maggi cube is dissolved, or you can also crush it before adding it to your cooking. Now I'm going to add my carrots. Again, if you've not subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and subscribe, so each time I upload a new video, you'll be the first to know. And also share the video, like the video, and also drop on the comment section how you would normally make your meat pie. Then I'm going to add my chopped potatoes. To mix this all up. To keep everything together, I'm going to add 1.5 tablespoons of flour, going to mix this together. And then I'm going to add some cold water to this. You don't want to add a lot of water so it's not soggy. So it's not too much. So I'll just add enough water for it to cook. And you don't want it to be over watery. Okay? So I'm going to mix this up and I'm going to allow this cook for 15 to 20 minutes. And then we'll come back and check our products. Okay, you also want to keep stirring it, guys. This has been cooking for 10 minutes. You know, you want to keep stirring it so it doesn't get burnt. So we're going to leave it for another 10 minutes. And again, you can test for salt as well, just to make sure your fillings, your meat pie filling is tasty, it's well seasoned. So this is when you can actually test for salt. But I'm not going to add any more salt. We're going to let that sit again for another 10 minutes and it's going to be ready. And once it's cooked, we'll just set it to the side to allow it to cool down. Okay, so now this has been cooking for almost 20 minutes. So I'm going to stir this up again. This is fully cooked. This is what we're going to use in making our meat pie, which is the stuffings for our meat pie. Yeah, so this is cooked. So I'm going to allow this to cook down, turn off my heat, and just allow this to cool down. So now we're going to start making our dough. Okay, so this is my flour. So today we are going to be using, this is actually 4.5 cups of flour. I'm using all-purpose flour and my hands are already washed and clean. So the first thing you want to add on there is your salt. So I'm just going to add 1 teaspoon of salt, or maybe 1.5. Okay, and then I'm going to add my butter. So today I'm actually using the Land and Ola's butter. Make sure you are using cold butter. So this is what I'm using today. So this is cold. I'm just going to add my butter to my flour, and then you want to start mixing everything up. So we are almost there. So meat pie is a very popular African snack. You can use it for you can have it as breakfast, you know, with your cup of tea or coffee. You can even have it for lunch, you know. So once you mix it up well, you don't want to over mix it, right? You just want to make sure all the butter are mixed properly in the flour. And this is how it's going to look, right? Everything is all mixed well. Now to form our dough, we are going to have to add some cold water. I know you all will be wondering, why are you making so much? I am going to make this much and store it away because you can actually freeze it up so that each time you want to eat, you just either you use your microwave or your oven to heat it up. And before we start making our meat pie, we have to freeze this up for half an hour. Let it really cool down before we start making our meat pie with it. Okay, so I'm going to be using my counter table today, and this is properly cleaned. So if you want to use either your counter table or your chopping board, just make sure your counter table is clean. I just find counter table very convenient and easy to work with. So I'm going to put everything in there, and I'm going to make sure it's mixed up properly. Okay, so now I have mixed up the flour with the butter and some salt. Just I used 1.5 tablespoons of salt. So I'm going to cut this up and put in the fridge and allow it to cool down for half an hour before we can start putting together our meat pie. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up. Make sure you are wrapping it up well. Wrap it up really tight. So we're going to allow this to sit in the fridge for half an hour, and then we'll come back and finish up our meat pie. So this is what we have. So I'm going to put this in the fridge and let it sit for half an hour. Okay guys, I just removed this from the fridge. It's been half an hour. We have it in the fridge to cool down. And the next thing you want to do is you want to add some flour to your countertop, because this is where you are going to be rolling your flour. So you want to make sure you are adding some flour on your countertop so it doesn't stick as you roll. So I'm going to take one of these. Just going to cut half. And this is my rolling pin. I'm also going to make sure I add some flour to my rolling pin, just so it doesn't stick. I'm going to spread it out. You don't want it to be extremely thin. You don't want it to be too thin. You want it to be, you know, flat enough. So you will need, this is just a choice. So I'm going to be using a cover of my puff to cut this. I'm going to use my knife. I'm going to add, before I do that, let me remove it. So this is how flat it is. I'm going to add 1 spoon, just enough. I'm going to cover it down. Then I'm going to use my fork to make sure it's all tight. That's a meat pie. And I'm going to sit it in the pan. The pan is already well oiled, so I'm using some butter to grease my pan. So I'm going to do the same for others. Alrighty, we are done, finally. So we have ground beef all in flour, mixed flour or dough. So this is what we have. So the next thing you want to do, because we want our meat pie to be really crunchy and tasty, so I am going to pat it down with some egg white. So this is my egg white. I'm going to add like a tablespoon of water, sorry, 1 teaspoon of water to that. And then I'm going to mix that up. And then I'm just going to use this to grease it down. And while I'm doing that, so I'm going to put my turn on my oven and set it up to 375. So while that is going, we are going to continue to grease this all down. Apply the egg whites to all the meat pies. All right guys, now we are ready to bake. So the oven is well heated up. It's 375 and we're going to bake this for 30 to 35 minutes. So I am going to put my meat pie in there. I can't wait. Again guys, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and do so. This is your girl Rosemary. Like the video, share the video with your family, with your loved ones. Again, if you are interested in any kitchen gadgets or utensils, check out my blog in the description and access all your kitchen aid. And we'll be back in half an hour to look at the end product. Thank you guys. Okay guys, our meat pie is ready. Let me show you the final product. So this is our meat pie. It's looking yummy and delicious. Again, I want to thank you for staying with me to the end. But before I go, I would like to show you the inside. So let me show you the inside of the meat pie. I'm going to take one of these and I'm going to cut it in half. Voila! That's the inside of the meat pie. Tasty. I really wish I could share this with everyone. Again, thank you for joining me today. Until I come your way again, be good to each other, love yourself, love your neighbor. Bye guys.